A Zen master, when asked to explain the Buddhist principle of impermanence, gently picked up his favorite teacup, held it, and declared, "For me, the cup is already broken." My husband and I heard a version of that years ago. If you buy a bowl, imagine it broken. And it's insinuated it into so much of what we say and do around our household. We've seized on it around the impermanence of everything, for sure. We fill our house with things we find beautiful and soulful, often handmade things, and yet each time we do something, we say, buy something or bring something in that's a gift, we say, beautiful, imagine it broken. When it breaks, we are a little more prepared. And the lesson is larger, of course. We practice with a bowl, a teacup, a bouquet of flowers, tiny material rituals of the celebrating and the letting go that life requires of us again and again and again. I'm not sure you would call either of us unattached, though, or non-attached. To some things, yes, we intentionally buy a car so functional and ordinary that we agree we won't fret about it getting dinged. In fact, years ago, in a Tony suburb of New Jersey, we once waved off a man who drove a brand new BMW SUV who had dented our bumper, telling him, "It's okay, it's fine, don't worry about it." He looked baffled and then practically ran to his car, and literally the tires squeaked as he hit the accelerator, as if he was afraid we would change our minds. We are intentionally non-attached to some things, bowls, cars. In other ways, though, non-attachment is a work in progress for us. And the grief of something cherished and lost is so much harder to wave off sometimes. This week, for instance, in the universe's divine plan, our daughter Lila went back for her final year of college. Mind you, I've had 3 years of preparation for this particular moment, and yet I felt bereft. Do you know that bereft feeling I'm describing for yourself? It isn't logical. I mean, she'll be back at Thanksgiving, and I can talk to her every day if I want, and she chooses to answer her phone. It's healthy, it's normal, right, that she's doing the things she's doing, and I should be celebrating her progress. But those thoughts in this moment are belied by the clenching in my chest and the sick feeling in the pit of my stomach the entire day, by the deep grief that only gradually, day by day, is getting a little lighter. And to add to that, my spouse got on a plane on Thursday to fly to India to see his father. And all I could say to them each was, "You're leaving me! I'm alone!" And sure, each grief is a little different. The grief about Lila, though, it has a legitimate mournful charge to it. It's not just me being a drama queen. It's me being awake to what's going on in my life. She's almost launched, potentially. The clock is certainly ticking. My heart knows the truth and the weight of the fact that there aren't so many times more that I will have her returning to live in my home again. And Rohit, waking the tree spirit gods, the wood gods, he'll be back in a week. But having him gone, each time he's gone, for me, makes palpable the reality I try not to think about, the reality that one day one of us will be living without the other. It is a reality I find sadly not unimaginable, because if it were unimaginable, I would be saved a lot of grief, but terrifying. When Raymond Chandler, the author, wrote, "To say goodbye is to die a little," he spoke a truth I know in my gut and chest. All goodbyes are endings, some just bigger than others, and some presage others. Aditi did a gorgeous TED Talk on her work. You should find it. 20 minutes of solid wisdom on death and dying. She talks at one point about the need to practice leaning into and befriending, though she doesn't use that word, but that's what it brought up for me, befriending small deaths in life. The small parting moments. All the changes that involve letting go of one chapter, one project, one version of ourself, one place to open up to what follows. In life, in this life where everything is impermanent, there are so many such opportunities to practice leaning into grief, aren't there? And loss, transition, which is always involves some grief, hopefully some joy or new beginning. Richard Holloway, a well-known bishop and leader of the Episcopal Church in Scotland, wrote a book, Waiting for the Bus, Reflections on Life and Death. And in it, he writes about the grieving that he did, that he first remembers as a grief of a transition when he started balding at a young age. And at a time when there were no medicines or cosmetic procedures to either stop or reverse balding. It was this first grappling with aging and all of the losses of aging. Our bodies are thresholds of change and places to practice letting go. Job changes are thresholds. Marriages and divorces are thresholds. Falling in and out of love is a set of thresholds. Having children is a threshold. Having pets arrive and letting them go, those are thresholds. Even if you think about it, going on vacation and then getting to the point where vacation is over and you transition back to life is a threshold of grief and hopefully of some fond expectations, things we take with us. And each of these, each is a preparation. If we lean into it, each is a preparation for the larger griefs, so when they come, our arms are hopefully strong enough to hold them from practice, and our hearts are ready maybe to open from practice, open to these places rather than clenching, and find in these places in our life invitations to depth, to the wisdom they hold in them, to opportunities to grow in compassion. All of these invitations to growth and healing can be found in these thresholds. Parting is dying a little, but it's a part of life, and it's also an opportunity to grow. I was thinking, by the way, whether the butterfly mourns some things that it left behind in its life as a caterpillar. And as a metaphor, whether it misses it so much in the beginning that it loses some of the brief joy that it has and the opportunity to see life from a new place, aloft on wings. So what does it mean then, friends, to befriend grief and lean into transitions? I think for each of us, we'll discover that on our own, follow the lead of our heart and spirit. For me, this week in particular, it's meant leaning into all the feelings, feeling them, not resisting them, crying, calling friends to share what felt silly and real at the same time, making them all promise, as I did, not to die before me, and after they stopped laughing to say, okay, but I mean it, promise me you won't die before I do. For me, I've learned that grief, even things like the end of a church year, make me want to clean and organize things. So this week, I gave in to the sudden need to clean the pantry, the linen closet, do all the laundry. Please come over this week and open all the doors. And I don't know why it feels important, but I've learned to surrender to it. And in the midst of it, I wonder, is this an attempt to control everything I can? Because so much that I love is beyond my control? Is this a desire to stay in motion and distracted till the pain lessens as it does? It's all interesting to note. All offers wisdom. If it's control I want, I need to practice letting go. We all do. All of the insights that get wrapped in these moments of transition. And friends, if this is how I react to my daughter going off to college and my husband going on a trip, it's clear to me that I'm in trouble when it comes to larger losses. I know some of you in this room have suffered huge losses. I know some of you have lost parents when you were young, lost children long before it's ever right to lose your children, lost spouses, best friends, siblings. And I know all of you carry the wisdom of all of that with you, and that's a good thing because we will need you. Those of us who haven't been there before. In a culture that runs away from death and from loss and from grief, we need our wise ones with us. And we need the rituals that we have for the transitions of life that acknowledge the fullness of what it means, right? The way we do, the blessing and the burden of a child that we acknowledge when we bless it, and the joy and the wild courage of marriage that we acknowledge when we do those rites of passage, and the challenge and the beauty and the excitement and the danger of transitioning into adulthood that we acknowledge in our coming of age ceremony, and the mourning and the joy that we acknowledge when we officiate over a funeral. But what I realized in thinking about this service is that all of the rituals that we do involve the people in the transitions except death. That person is already gone. We're just holding the people left behind. And so this service and this Sunday is an invitation for me at least, and maybe us, to think about how we regather up the skills that our foremothers and fathers and the wise elders of the past had about what it means to stand with one another as we die, even as we send death out into hospitals and we make it a failure and not just a natural passage, a completion. And that we draw deeply on those who can help us hold one another. Because, my friends, the bowl will break, they'll all break, and the teacups, and we will cease to be in so much that we depend on. And grief will be forever also the mirror of our love. The strange law of the heart that says that the more you and I learn to let go and hold grief, the more we are ready to hold love. And in fact, the more we grieve, the more we have loved. And so we lean into loss. We force ourselves to because we want to love big. Because we need to learn to love big. So as Mary Oliver so rightly says in her poem that we already read once this summer, but here we go, on Blackwater Pond. If you know the words, you can say them with me. To live in this world, you must be able to do 3 things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing that your own life depends on it, and when the time comes, to let it go. To let it go. May we find ways to be fully present at the thresholds of our own lives and one another's. May we be present to the sacred invitations dropped at those thresholds. May we grow wiser and more compassionate as we engage with life's scary impermanence. And may our leanings into life's threshold moments and all that asks and all that it means make us more awake to the blessings of each day and of one another. And may we accompany one another through it all with open hearts and singing and all the deep presence we can find in ourselves. So may it be. Blessed be. I love you all. Don't die before me. Amen.